Everybody, if I could call the meeting to order, remind everybody to turn their mobile phones off. Good evening, anybody who may be following us online. Welcome to Hillingdon's Cabinet, meeting of the Cabinet. I'm Councillor Ian Edwards, I'm Leader of the Council, and I am Chairman of Cabinet. There being no members of the public present, we won't go through the normal health and safety bits, but as I say, please make sure your devices are turned to mute. If we go through the agenda speedily, Mark, apologies for absence.
Councillor Lavery has given his apologies, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Item 2, colleagues, declarations of interest matters before this meeting. Are there any additional declarations?
None.
Thank you. Item 3, to approve the minutes of the last Cabinet meeting. Those are on pages 1 to 22. Are they agreed?
Agreed.
And item 4 is a straightforward statement that the meeting is in 2 parts. Part 1, public meeting, of which there are 3 substantive items and an information report, and part 2 of those matters that are discussed in private relate to contractual matters. However, we do provide the preview report in the part 1, and the decisions are subsequently published. There will be a break between part 1 and part 2 when we will close the YouTube link. So if we move directly into the substantive part of the meeting, which is item 5, consultation on the Hillingdon 0 to 19 years core offer to children, young people and their families. Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Leader. I would like to propose agenda item 5, as you have just said, the consultation of the Hillingdon 0 to 19 core offer to children, young people and their families. This offer also includes young people up to the age of 25 with SEND. This report sets out the Council's intention to consult on the proposed Family Hub strategy and delivery model, which will provide services for children and young people aged between 0 to 19 and 25 respectively for SEN and their families, and the potential options for consultation on the future of the Council's directly run childcare nurseries for 0 to 5-year-old provision. Stakeholders, including parents, carers, partner organisations and residents, are to be consulted for their views and comment. The proposed consultation period is for 12 weeks for both of the proposals on this paper. Family hubs have been considered as the way forward to support children, young people and families, and Hillingdon has been an early adopter, currently having the Uxbridge Family Hub open as a prime example, providing one front door to a multi-agency range of services, promoting early intervention and prevention practices, and ensuring that the right service is accessible and available at the right time to meet the individual needs. There are 6 geographical locations set out across the borough, all providing the assurance of a range of services within a 13-minute walking or a 1.5-mile driving distance. The second part of this paper is regarding the Council's 3 directly run childcare nurseries located in South Ruislip, Uxbridge and Hayes. The Council has a statutory duty to ensure sufficiency of childcare so far as is reasonably practicable for working parents or parents who are studying or training for employment. However, it's not a statutory requirement for the Council to directly deliver childcare. The Council now wishes to consult on the following 3 options. However, I would caveat this by saying that the options listed are not exhaustive, and we welcome suggestions for the consideration. The options are on page... sorry, I haven't opened my paperwork up. Are on page 35 of this report, and they are to maintain the 3 nurseries in their current form and review the charging structure. The second option is to put 1, 2 or all 3 sites to the market as a going concern, and the implications for this option is also listed on page 35. Because there would be staffing issues and other implications, workforce issues, and to close the 3 nursery sites. And the third option is to close the 3 nursery sites, dispose or repurpose the assets, and return a small core team that will work particularly with particular family needs, for example, family workforce issues and or complex needs of children with SEND. The 5 recommendations are set out on page 24. I won't read them out. You will have all had the opportunity to read them. And I therefore move this agenda item.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, change can bring with it nervousness and uncertainty, and that is recognised. But what we are seeking to do here is to greatly expand the support we provide to our families and to extend that support to a much older age range throughout the whole of childhood and to provide wraparound support to the families. Importantly, this is going to be delivered in localities and in neighbourhoods so that access will always be maintained. For me, it is a bold ambition. The report sets out clear consultation, which I encourage public to be engaged in. And should they be uncertain around what the Family Hub is like, there is plenty of information about our existing Family Hub on our website and in our news features and in others that will give insight into what this new service can deliver. So, members of the public, we welcome your views on this to help us shape a better service that helps you within our communities. Colleagues, are the recommendations 1 to 5 agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. We turn to item 6, please, the consultation on Hillingdon's youth offer and delivery model.
Thank you, Leader. That's one for me as well. I'd like to propose agenda item 6, the consultation on the Hillingdon youth offer and delivery model. Consideration is requested on the proposed new integrated youth offer that aligns with the Council's wider early help and prevention arrangements and which supports all young people to reach their potential. The offer seeks to deliver a modern, accessible, responsive and dynamic service to meet the ever-changing needs of young people in Hillingdon. The proposed vision will realign the Hillingdon Adolescent Development and Universal Youth Services. This will be driven by co-production of staff and informed by data to deliver a locality-based provision that is in line with what our young residents are telling us. The aim is to reach as many young people as possible by changing the service delivery model of the Council's directly provided youth services. Currently, young people are invited to a designated centre to join an activity. However, young people have told us through direct engagement and via the survey on Appendix 1, which is in the pack of this report, whereby we did have 554 responses, which is a huge amount of young people actually being engaged within this survey that we carried out in 21. That they want to access services in a range of settings and formats. Therefore, the vision outlined as in the hybrid model of flexible-based buildings, including schools and sports facilities, community centres and in community hubs. Also, outreach to chosen locations that have been designated for particular services. And in addition, a digital offer, which our young people are still like to be engaged within. There are 2 tables on page 71 and 72 of tonight's paper, which shows the current and the proposed enhanced delivery models. The consultation is planned for a minimum of a 6-week period, and the Council welcomes residents and young people's views for this. The 3 recommendations are on page 66, and that's to agree to progress the public consultation with the proposed youth offer vision and delivery model, to authorise the Executive Director of Children and Young People in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Children, Families and Education to approve the approach to the consultation, and also agrees to receive a report back to consider the consultation responses and the final youth offer vision and delivery model for approval, which is informed by the findings of the consultation exercise. I therefore move this.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. And again, this report does, and the recommendations does seek to improve service that we provide, a far wider range of offer to our young people, and it is responding to their messaging to us. I do hope that members of the public will engage in this consultation, and young people additionally. Are these 3 recommendations agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, the monthly council monitoring report, and I do draw everybody's attention to an addendum sheet, an amendment to a recommendation. Councillor Goddard.
Thank you, Leader. This is a report of projected results for the full financial year to 31st of March 2023, as they stood at the 31st of January 2023. The overall financial position of the Council continues to be stable, strong and encouragingly predictable. And indeed, we continue to recognise the early benefits of our extensive transformation programme. The General Fund revenue account underspend of £95,000 against budget, which is a small positive variance of £13,000 against the previously reported month 9 position, but is broadly consistent. Our general balances continue to be projected at a year-end position of £26.8 million. During the year, we have sustained exceptional pressures arising from COVID-19, and these are projected at £14.9 million, which is lower than last year, but £3.6 million greater than we had included in the budget. This position is materially consistent with the month 9 reported position and is being absorbed within earmarked reserves. As colleagues will be aware, central government support for COVID pressures ceased at the 31st of March 2022, and hence the full cost for 22-23 and later years is being absorbed by the Council. Inflation quite clearly has had a material impact upon our costs, and that a substantial amount of this has been absorbed within earmarked reserves. We should be aware that the Chancellor of the Exchequer in his recent spring budget speech reported an OBR forecast that inflation will reduce to 2.9% by the end of calendar year 2023. However, after 3 consecutive months of reported reductions in the Consumer Price Index, the latest data for February 2023 indicates an increase from 10.1% to 10.4%. Commentators have suggested that this increase can be attributed to food prices, which have been driven upwards by supply shortages. Whilst this isn't conclusive evidence of the longer-term trends in inflation, it does to some degree vindicate our decision to factor greater inflation numbers into our budget and MTFF. A number of our transformation and cost savings measures have started to kick in to beneficial effect. However, once again, I must emphasise that we have a need to retain and rebuild our reserves, and this remains a major priority now and in the years ahead. Our savings programme for 22-23 is progressing well, and as previously reported, we're on track for the entire £13.3 million of savings to be delivered. General Fund capital expenditure for the financial year is projected to be £22 million below revised budget, largely due to delays in the commencement of agreed projects. Substantial elements of this expenditure are expected to be rephased into later financial years. The dedicated schools grant position has also suffered from cost inflation in respect of high needs placements to the tune of £1.2 million in excess of budget, this being largely attributable to the increasing costs of placements out of borough. However, the projected year-end deficit is still showing a further reduction to £22.4 million, which is still £1.1 million lower than last year's closing position. Initiatives to create additional high needs places within borough are now indicating positive progress, and I'm also pleased to report that the Department for Education has agreed our disapplication request for a transfer of 0.5% from the schools block to the high needs block, which equates to £1.2 million. Turning to the housing revenue account, this continues to report a close adherence to budget with a forecast surplus against budget of £76,000, being an £8,000 improvement on the position reported at month 9. Capital expenditure within the housing revenue account will be £9.3 million below revised budget, and this, like the General Fund, is largely due to project delays and is expected to be rephased into later years. Leader, I therefore move recommendation 1 within Part A of the report set out on page 94 of the pack. Part B of the report on page 116 of the pack sets out a number of recommendations itemised A to H, and these have been subject to a late addendum, which has changed the provider for the grant referred to in item 2.D, and has also added a further grant, item 2I, which is in respect of additional funding of £907,000 to facilitate hospital discharges. The recommendations set out in this section are self-explanatory, and I therefore also move recommendations A to I. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Goddard, and thank you for the report. Again, this is evidence of our continued sound financial management, and it's always good to receive emendations to a report that adds to our income. Colleagues, are these recommendations as described by Councillor Goddard agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 8 is a public preview report of matters that will be considered in private. It is for noting. Residents, I do encourage you to read it. It does give an oversight of the issues that will be discussed now in part 2 of the meeting. That closes part 1 of the meeting, and we close the link, please. Thank you.